More disturbing information into the background of Robert Harris, the reserve deputy who shot the unarmed Eric Harris earlier this month while unarmed after mistaking his gun for a taser. Now, this information is coming from anonymous sources, so bear that in mind, but according to the Tulsa World newspaper, they reported Thursday that supervisors in the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office signed off on training sessions and firearms certifications that Reserve Deputy Robert Bates did not actually complete, citing multiple anonymous sources. At least 3 supervisors were disciplined with transfers for refusing to falsify Bates's training records before they found someone who would play ball. So not only does he mistake a gun for a taser, but many of his certifications he did not actually complete. And initially on the scene, when he said that he had been a reserve deputy officer since 2007, it turned out actually 2008. So there are more and more inconsistencies cropping up in his story, which after all has left a man dead.
He was not properly trained.
Right.
He was a 73-year-old reserve officer.
That's what my whole thing is. He's 73.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to sound ageist, but there are certain jobs where I think that you have to have a certain health standard in order for people to do what they're supposed to do. A 73-year-old shouldn't be a cop unless he can prove that he is physically...
Unless he goes through the training. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
And by the way...
He was busy.
This isn't just about age either. I mean, you're a police officer who potentially could get into some sort of physical altercation where you have to protect yourself, right? And what's interesting is cops now immediately go to lethal weapons in order to protect themselves. There are situations where they could defend themselves physically with a non-lethal weapon or physically without a weapon at all. But the thing is, so many cops are out of shape and they haven't been trained properly that they just immediately resort to gun violence. And how the hell do you confuse a freaking taser with a gun or a gun for a taser? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, you can confuse them if you've had zero training with either.
Right.
Yeah. But we also know yesterday that sometimes the cops now are turning to their police cruisers as a weapon to take out suspects. We had that video yesterday as well. Now, I think in his case, in the case of Robert Bates, he's likely to face lesser charges because when he actually shot Eric Harris, he says, "Oh, I shot him. I'm sorry," and he dropped his gun on the ground. And that makes clear that he at least apparently did think that it was a taser. It's going to be difficult to say that he had the intention to kill this man.
Unlike Johannes Meserle and Oscar Grant, who said that he thought that he was playing for his taser. Obviously, it's not on camera. My favorite part about this story is the sheriff who's saying, he made an error. What up? What'd it be? He was like, come on. Yeah, an operator, he compares him to a doctor. Like, I'm sorry, what?
I meant to take out his appendix, but instead I shot him in the chest.
Shot him in the face, my bad.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm sure the doctors get trained through medical school, so I don't know if that's a comparable.
Yeah, doctors aren't allowed to be in an operating room without the right credentials to be able to do that, right? So it's a little different, okay? But it's another case of police officers defending one another, even when there's a clear case of injustice here, even when there's a clear case of an innocent person getting shot and killed. And when I say innocent, I don't mean that he did nothing wrong, but whatever his crime was, it did not deserve that type of punishment.
But more importantly, I want to talk about one defense that's being put up by the police department to defend Robert Bates. And so here is Jim Clark, a police sergeant at Tulsa, saying that Bates suffered from slip and capture, a phenomenon where people do the opposite of what's intended during times of extreme emergencies and pressure. He went on to say, "You can train someone as much as you can, but in times of crisis, sometimes training is not going to take you through the scenario." And so this is something that you're seeing in many of the stories about this, that it was just slip and capture. Like, people freak out when the pressure's on them and they do something they don't intend to do. And you might hear that term and think, oh, that's something that psychology professors have come up with. No, it's not actually a result of academics at all. It was produced out of a study done by the Force Science Institute, a police use of force consultant firm.
Wow.
Their motto is, "We save lives and reputations."
What?
And that is now
their motto?
That's their motto.
That's
and
amazing.
that's being spread now as if that's something that a professor at NYU came up with a decade or two ago. No, it's just a term that they're using to mean, well, fuck, sometimes you fuck up.